Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I was rewatching Castlevania Nocturne Season 1, Season 2, and I was really looking into a lot of the conversations that Olrox was having with not just Mizrak, but with Ursabet, because I kind of had like a brainstorm and I was thinking, what if Olrox is actually the Quetzalcoatl deity, maybe his vessel? And the reason why I think that is we have already been teased with the idea of vampires being able to take on a god's power. Case in point, Ursabet being the vessel of Sekhmet. Why can't that be possible for other deities and races? And one thing that's really interesting about Nocturne is you see a lot of parallels with characters. So you'll see similar struggles with one character happening to like a villain, and maybe it's like the same story but different outcomes. So what if Olrox is actually Quetzalcoatl, or the vessel of Quetzalcoatl? Just, because the people stop worshiping him or stop believing in him, maybe they turn their backs on him, so he's not as powerful as maybe he once was. And what really stirred this is I was rewatching the scene between him and Mizrak because reasons. And after they got done wrestling with one another, they were talking about how the gods and deities once betrayed their people. And Olrox, he seemed very almost reminiscent when he was telling him like, hey, there's beings and gods out there that are far more than your comprehension. And of course Mizrak was like, there's only one god. Okay, Mizrak, calm down. And it made me think, Olrox, you seem to be very, like, you're speaking from like a factual point, right? Like, how do you know this, and what are you getting at here, right? And one thing I've learned about the Castlevania writers is they don't just sprinkle things in there just for the sake of. Typically, there's going to be some type of subplot going on, and that's kind of the subplot that I feel like we either don't pay attention to, or we're just not getting enough information. Like, they're not, force feeding us the information. And one thing that I think is very glaring is Olrox can turn into a dragon. I mean, he turned into that form episode 1. So cool, so badass. And I know Richter kind of likened it to, Belmonts can do magic, and apparently sometimes vampires can. But I've been saying this in every other Olrox video. Why is that? How can he turn into a dragon? Why is it that he can shoot lightning out of his mouth and create these skulls, and like he could turn into like dust and shadows and stuff like that? Like, who the heck are you, Olrox, and why do you have these powers? And the more I think of it, especially in Nocturne, there's a lot of parallels between characters. So I am almost willing to bet, and I could be wrong, that what if Olrox is a parallel to Sekhmet, or a parallel to Ursabet, being that vessel for Quetzalcoatl, and maybe Olrox, his intentions are to do good for the world. You could tell that he was not really with the whole Ursabet taking over the world and, plunging it into darkness. You could tell that Olrox, although he's a vampire and although he still feeds on people, like, let's be clear, he's not innocent here. He still has his humanity about him. He's still very calculating. I would even, dare I say that he is very similar to Dracula in some regard. Like, I think he's just one bad situation of being plunged into, like a genocidal maniac, because he does have love for humans in the same way that Dracula had love for Lisa. So I say all this to say that Olrox has been a prominent character in the show, but they have not given us much to work with as far as information. And this character knows just about everything that's going on, the coming and goings like within the universe. And what's really telling for me is the relationship with Old Man Coyote. He's very much aware who he is, what he's about. He even knows ways to get around him, because obviously Old Man Coyote has been depicted as like this shady, shiesty character, almost like a trickster. And Olrox is already aware of like how to get around other deities and like the games that they like to play. And yes, he's old and ancient, so he could just know this because he's old and ancient, but I don't think that's a coincidence, especially circling back to his dragon form. I've read articles, I've seen other videos, and they say that dragon form, that Quetzalcoatl form of his, is almost like a one-for-one on how Quetzalcoatl is depicted in Aztec culture. And I don't think that I don't think that's coincidence. I don't think this is just some type of random form that he got. I do know that vampires in the series have been shown to be able to transform, whether that be into bats, into wolves, other like creatures of like the animal kingdom. But Quetzalcoatl seems like almost like a power up, that dragon form of his. When he was fighting Drolta, when she was again all segment powered up, he was able to hold her off. I'm not saying that they have equal levels of power, but he had enough to hold his weight. And honestly, in terms of vampires like that were able to even square up with Drolta, it was only going to be either Olrox or Alucard. I don't think there was any other vampire in the verse like during that time that would have been able to square up with Ursabet. And Olrox, it's just so much mystery here. Him and Alucard have a history, and Alucard he's old as hell too. How do you guys know each other? And it looks like Olrox has saved Alucard either one or two times. What was that? Were you guys fighting some type of like, unhinged god vampire as well? Like there's so many questions that need to be answered. I am of the belief that there's going to be a reveal in season 3 about his Aztec culture, his ties to Quetzalcoatl. He's either going to be a vessel or some type of medium for Quetzalcoatl, or he took on Quetzalcoatl's power. Maybe he drank the blood of Quetzalcoatl. We know that's a possibility because the vampires are going around drinking Sekhmet's blood, right? So I don't know. I just think that there's so much possibility here. It would be so cool to kind of give Olrox more to do. I say all this to say that I really still want him and Mizrak to live out their lives and be happy, adopt some children, and all the things. But I understand that we can't get the slice of life in like an 8-episode season. So I'd almost rather we get the action and figure out, okay, who the heck is Olrox really? Because I almost feel like we've been purposely distracted by the Drolta, the Ursabets, even the Old Man Coyote subplot, and Olrox is kind of skimming by quietly. And I never played the games, but I know that Olrox he's a villain in the games, and he does play a prominent role. I don't think he is the final boss, but he is a major boss. So there has to be a way that he's going to flex his stuff in season 3, and I really think it's going to have a lot to do with Quetzalcoatl. I think we're going to get a name of that dragon form. We're going to get information about it. Let me know in the comments if you guys feel like I'm off base, or if there's some lore that I'm missing in the video games that might further explain that form of his. I think I'm onto something here, so let me know in the comments. Also, for those of you guys who are new to my channel, I do a lot of Castlevania discussions, not just Nocturne. I started off with Nocturne, but there will be Castlevania specific character breakdowns. So if you guys like content like this, I do have a Castlevania Nocturne discussion playlist that you could check out. If there's a character I haven't done and you would like to see, let me know in the comments. I'm open to talk about just about any character. I find them all to be fascinating, even like the worst ones. So whatever you guys want to hear, I just want to make sure I could just hop on this mic, talk about your favorite characters, and have a good time. So as always fun talking to you all. Can't wait to see you in the next video, and have a great week.